Brawl number two, Clash of the Keywords. Joined with Trump here. How you feeling today?
Feeling great. Looking forward to seeing the other side of the bracket today.
Yeah, that's true. We got to see most of the top part of the bracket yesterday. We were hoping to see Hoej versus Kaldi, but we couldn't quite get the two players together yesterday. So we will kick it off with that game. If we take a look at the bracket just to see who's involved and what we saw yesterday, we can see that the top half of the bracket ended up in Zele qualifying for today's final, going through Show and going through Eloise, who had defeated Stan Sifka. Today we're going to see who qualifies through the lower bracket. We're going to have Kaldi versus Hoej, followed by Strivecrew versus Amaz. The winner of each of those matches will go on to play against Zele in the final. So what are we playing? We are playing Clash of the Keywords. You had a little bit of time to go through and try one of these runs. Players had 15 minutes to abide by all minions must contain the same keyword, and different keywords must be used for each deck. What do you think, Trump? Do you think we'll see much different stuff from the lower bracket?
Well, yesterday I did say that I thought that Paladin, Battle Cry, Hunter Death Rattle, and Taunt Druid were going to be, well, those are the ones that I came up with, and I thought that probably that's the baseline of decks to be based off of. It's possible that people thought of better ideas, but I think it's pretty good. Kaldi's playing exactly that lineup of Hunter, Druid, Paladin, though from what we saw yesterday, some people aren't playing exactly that archetype. We saw a charge Hunter yesterday. That was
Yeah.
very interesting. It did fail horribly, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Zele kind of ran through that deck pretty fast twice. It was Show who ended up giving it a try. Um, so the finals are going to be a little bit of a different format. It is going to be a best of seven, and players will have additional time to build a fourth deck. And that's kind of interesting because of the exclusionary factor of the rule set. Um, well, it's not going to be quite that easy because we will have to dive into one of these more obscure ones. And it being Conquest, you really have to know what you're doing. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen the Stealth one yet. I think Stealth Druid is real. Stealth Druid is real. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe.
Well, the tough part is then you lose your taunt druid, but maybe someone didn't bring a taunt druid and they can
Well,
go for
Hoach
the stealth thing.
didn't bring a Stealth Druid.
That's right. Speaking of Kaldi versus Hoej, it was scheduled to be played yesterday, but
Hmm.
again, thanks to the good sportsmanship of Hoej to allow Kaldi to move the match to today. All right,
Yeah.
so I think at this point we're ready, and the players are getting ready. Let's.
Yeah, we'll get into it here when we can. Again, this is live, so sometimes, it may take a little bit longer to get into a game compared to another one. As far as the classes here, we see Paladin, which was your favorite. We see Hunter, which we talked about, had the very strong presence with Death Rattle in the tournament. And then we have Mage and Druid. You think we're gonna see this Taunt Mage finally? I think Show had a Taunt Mage, but it didn't see play, I believe.
Let's see if I remember correctly. Show didn't bring a mage. I think we saw a mage, but it wasn't taunt mage. And I was like, huh, I wonder why mage would run a taunt because there aren't that many.
Okay.
But it could be an interesting archetype.
All right. Well, as we've seen so far in the tournament many times, it is going to be a Hunter-Hunter opener, and it is going to be Death Rattle Hunter versus Death Rattle Hunter. Contrary to what you may believe on ladder, it seems like the more controlling Hunter does come out the winner in what we've seen so far in this GEICO Brawl.
Yeah, that's probably mostly because part of what makes Hunter x Hunter beat the longer range control deck is because of the charge minions. But because no charge minions currently in the game have Death Rattle, uh,
Okay.
it doesn't quite work out that aggro Hunter beats more
Yeah,
controlling Hunter.
the minion is just not sticky enough. We don't have Kaldi's cam for you guys today, but we doubled up on Hoge. He's got his pet birdie budgie named Pidgey apparently joining in. How about that? I'm sure this will
Well,
give him a massive competitive edge here.
yeah,
Two
let's
mines.
hope that he doesn't get Captain's Parrot out of Web Spinner. Otherwise, that may go badly for his parrot.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, you have the option to coin out a haunted creeper to kind of trump this, but I don't think you'd want to. I think you want that turn three piloted shredder into that turn four piloted shredder.
Yeah, yesterday we actually saw this match, and Coin Creeper was played, but this always depends based on the other context of your hand. And in this case, since you don't have a three drop, absolutely seems like the right play to do two, and then coin shredder
Whoa!
shredder.
Looks like Hoej got the better end of that one.
Yeah,
Angry
usually
Ch
that might be too slow and
Yes.
constructed, but in this format, I think it's just slow enough for Gozrilla to legitimately possibly enter the battlefield and smack some fools.
Yeah. Now, I think the ooh, that Heifer's going to clock in some damage here. Actually, that might be just enough for Kaldi to apply just way too much pressure in this game. With a
Yeah,
mad
it looks like that
scientist.
Huffer is going to do at least 12 damage, which doesn't have a immediate answer to it.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Looks like he's debating between. Oh, he's going to go for the Huffer so he can kill it immediately. Okay.
All right. And this plays horribly into Unleash. So this is kind of like a big risk that he's undertaking. He made the decision pretty quickly, so I'd imagine that he's just like comfortable. It's like if he has Unleash, then I guess I lose. And if not, he thinks he can pull out a win here.
Yeah, he looks into the future and sees that if he takes the slower play, he's going to just take too much damage based off of the six already. Hunter versus Hunter, there's often a tipping point where at some point you need to make a very desperate play in order to survive.
Mm.
So Hoj makes what is not quite a desperate play, but he's like seeing that in the future he would need to make one. So here he makes a less extreme. That's a big
Whoa!
pickup. Unleash.
That is a huge pickup.
He can get up to five dogs with that.
Yeah, I wonder how you do it though, because okay, so the leper gnome goes into the haunted creeper, and then you play the dogs, and you I guess can you try to trigger both sides at the same time? I mean,
Oh,
there has to be
no.
freeze traps being played here, right?
Right, but you might be able to trigger both freezing traps. That would be pretty efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So you send a dog, in, but you have to be wary of snakes and explosives also. Um,
Okay.
I guess first you send it into one of the, yeah, and then you try for the freezing, and then you kill the other one, and then you try for freezing again. And sometimes you get snaked, but not much you can do.
Actually, don't know if he'll go for the other one. Oh, looks like he will.
All right. Well, that is
Wow.
as elegant a way to clear off two freezing traps as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Big turn by Hoej there.
Oh man, and now he picks up the bow. It is one turn late of two extra charges. But Kaldi does have a considerable life lead still, and he's got that extra draw off the quick shot. So
Ooh, Hoej is sporting the Feign Death and possibly the slower type of hunter here.
hmm
Kaldi got really efficiently removed there, but still, that bow does represent possibly six damage, and the hero power is possibly four damage over the next two turns.
hmm
So that's 13 damage right there.
I think he actually has too many creatures to feign death next turn. And then he won't get the shredder.
Oh, Sludge Belcher is a really big pickup that allows the Snake Trap to go through and allows the bow to pick up an extra charge. So Kaldi's game plan is going to be to kill his opponent in exactly two turns.
Yeah, and it's going to work here. Hoej would basically need that second Unleash the Hounds to really keep up with this at all.
Yeah, what Hoej needs to do is I'm sure he can see his imminent death in two turns because the bow and the hero power alone are 10 damage. So he would need to try to set up a kill in two turns, and that seems like a very difficult task, even with two Savannah Hyman.
I feel it would have to involve some ridiculous shredder RNG, but you
Yeah,
don't get the outcome of the shredder. Like
this is some serious feign death value though. You're gonna get
no,
two
I think
hyenas.
I think you're mistaken. I think you actually have to suicide the creeper and then feign death. Otherwise, you don't get the outcome of the shredder. See?
Okay, yeah, I think you're right there.
See? No shredder. And I think you need a wild shredder to actually have a chance this game. Yeah. That's basically it. Like, I don't know if it's lethal. I don't think it's lethal. 6, 8, 11. Oh, actually, it's one off, right?
That is one off. Yep.
I can't draw with quick shot because the draw was what I would imagine one of the slowest creatures in the deck. But still, though, like you know, with a death rattle deck, your opponent can't really gain life. So if he can't gain life and you get him to 1, how does he do 27 when his board is filled with garbage already?
Well, I mean, he does have 15 showing if he gets rid of the two spiders. So all he would need is 12. And that isn't possible because two kill commands will deal 10 and then he won't have the extra mana. So even
Arcane
thinking
shot.
about the worst case. What was that?
Arcane shot.
Arcane shot. Oh, yes. That would work. Leok would do a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, Leok would do 6 actually, right? Because you have to suicide a creature.
I think it would deal 5 because you'd have to suicide 2 to kill off the use.
Mm,
Which would be the same as kill command anyways.
yeah. Yeah, it would. Clockwork
That
no.
might do it. But that's
That's an
interesting.
interesting inclusion indeed, yeah.
I wonder if he's running that instead of Leopard Gnome or if he's running it with Leopard Gnome.
Well, there's really not much to think about here. You have no way to gain life, and you cannot kill off your shredder, so it's a pretty clear-cut concede in my book.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta make sure.
Hmm.
Gotta make sure all the time, in fact.
Yeah, all the time. All right, so Kaldi gets the first point on the board. Again, both players going to their go-to hunter on the opener, and Kaldi just gets the better of it. I think it really just started to get a bit out of control with the Huffer roll on the Animal Companion. It just allowed him to push for so much, even getting totally owned by Unleash. Just the life difference was too big to ignore.
Yeah, Huffer ends up doing indeed 8 damage, and that's just so much in the early game. Plus, you have to deal with Huffer.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming out of that game, I mean, you kind of have to assume what your opponent is running. I mean, you kind of know it's going to be a Battlecry Paladin. You kind of know it's going to be a Taunt Druid. But look at this, Anixia. How about
Oh, it
that?
looks like Kaldi has embraced the Dragon Paladin setup. We don't know whether or not Hoej has as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, Dragon Consort naturally synergizes with a lot of the, well, with the second rule of this brawl, which is you have to put Nozdormu in your deck. And as we saw from the first day, a lot of the times people drew Nozdormu, it was a dead card. But when Nozdormu gets 2 costed less, and it works to activate your Dragon Enablers, that can be a substantial buff for Nozdormu.
We've also seen the Battlecry decks in the past run BGH, and in some cases the double BGH, and I thought that was pretty effective. But you don't really have room for all of that. Like, if you have the dragons, you probably have like the regular Battlecry Paladin cards, which, I mean, there's quite a few of those. So I don't know. It feels like you have to be just missing a little bit of something.
Yeah, there sure are. We did see one deck with 2 BGH the other day, but I think in Paladin, since you're already running 2 Elder Peacekeeper, that's a bit too much. But 1 could be right, or possibly even 0, since you do
Hmm.
have the 2 Peacekeepers. Kaldi with a really high-end curve right now with a 5-drop, 8-drop, 7-drop, 9-drop. But at least he has 2 Muster for Battles, which are really good in this matchup.
Yeah, it looks like you'll be okay here. The Argus is probably the play here. You do get cleared out, but if your opponent doesn't have a great turn 4, you'll be ahead.
Yep, Hoej sporting what looks to be more of a zoo type paladin deck with buffs with Shroud Sun Cleric. Looks a lot like Aloysius' zoo deck, which was also focused on getting guys on the board and then
Hmm.
buffing them.
All right, well, if you coin your Dragon Consort, you will have the option to play a 7-drop Dragon next turn. But I don't even think there is a 7-drop Dragon in the game. Not yet. Chulma. He's coming.
Almost.
Almost. All right. Well, with the lack of the Dragon follow-up, he decides to go with Lotheb to possibly punish any future plays. Oh, what a punish indeed. That would have been quite nice. Instead, I think Hoej will have to settle for Alder Peacekeeper.
Yep. Hoja is going to have to think about whether or not to ooze a 1-2, or he can save it for absolutely that deck will run True Silver. So he's going to save it.
Yeah. In this current format, all the restrictions really apply only to creatures, so all weapons and all spells are legal. And you have to assume playing Paladin, there's at least the double True Silver to follow.
Too bad for Nozdurmu there, even though his cost is reduced by 2. I think Dr. Boom is still going to be better on 7.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just wondering if there are any dragon draws that can be played. I think Chromagus is the only 8th drop dragon.
Yes. If there's Azure Drake, that would make it cost 3, and then that usually wants to get comboed with Consecration.
Hmm.
That would be really good against Quartermaster and a lot of guys.
Well, just Consecrate itself is going to be pretty good here if Kaldi ends up drawing into it. Doesn't require the spell damage at all. Oh, not quite.
Yep. Time to face the wrath of the ooze. At least Light's Justice is doing work for Kaldi's side. Able to keep the guys down, otherwise the Quartermaster would do serious damage.
Hmm. And I mean, I think Taking Ooze is just a pretty fine idea. You have to assume everybody is playing at least Hunter, and Paladin does seem pretty strong, especially if you think people are going to be playing Paladin. If you're playing Paladin, you might as well put Ooze in there. There's just kind of a fitting end. Like,
Makes
if
sense.
you,
I might have
yeah,
been more inclined to put Harrison into it if we were looking for a battle cry, but there are not that many 2 drops out there, I suppose. So Ooze doubles as a possible 2-mana
yeah.
3/2, but so many players have been reluctant to play it as a 2-mana 3/2.
I also think there's just really not that many weapons that have that many charges. Like True Silver just has the 2, and you always use the 1 when you play it. Um, you're never gonna have like that super dream scenario with Harrison, which you kind of have to account for.
Yep, that's true. All right, the
Yeah,
boom. Faces down
I believe
12
that's
damage.
it.
Yep, that would do it.
Yeah, the quartermaster adds another 4. The abusive sergeant another 2 now. That just has to be enough.
Kaldi's draw just very slow there, while
Yeah.
Hoej is manages to pull off what Eloise couldn't do, which is to actually get minions on the board to buff. And that's a lot more solid with this Paladin deck, because you can just spawn guys, I guess.
Yeah, you get the guys. You also get the buffs, the kind of like if you just don't have just like a basic creature to play, you can just play the dude and then kings him or something like that. We also saw Onyxia in one of the decks, which seems like a pretty good inclusion in a Battlecry type of deck where you really want to be buffing your minions because it's pretty hard to clear out Onyxia and all the whelps at any turn. So that evens it up. The paladin on Hode's side gets the check mark, and Kaldi still has the opening hunter victory. Um, so what are we looking for matchups here? I do believe it is a taunt mage, by the way.
Yeah, in the notes, it does describe Hoge's
Think
mage as a
so.
taunt mage. Now, this is going
Yeah,
to be something
taunt mage.
interesting because one of the thoughts about this is you can use any spells you want. So maybe it's the spells that actually have the real power here, and
Hmm.
Hoge is someone who's going to capitalize on that. Here it is. Oh, so that's what you can put in Taunt Mage. You can put in the Arcane Nullifier, you can put in the Sen'jin, and then he's going to just try to follow up with Burn. So Hoej seems to be following the theory of Freeze Mage, and then using a lot of taunts.
Whoa. A-bomb. That other taunt and death rattle minion. It's not just Sludge Belcher. We always forget
This
about
is
this
a
guy.
wildly creative creation by Hoej. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. With Mirror Entity and Unstable Portal, it looks to be more of a control mage with double Flame Strike, double, well, one Abomination.
Yeah, there is a lot of control cards, but
Yeah,
seems
speaking of
like
like quote unquote freeze mage, since you can't Alex draws them and you can't play Antonidas, I guess the it's not really plausible to build a freeze mage, but oh that's too bad.
it works with a deck. It's still a taunt. All right. Nosdormu providing that dragon hold synergy.
Nice, good job, Nozdormu.
It's going
I
to be
think
a
that's the
terrible
best we've
mix
seen Nozdormu do this
yeah,
tournament so far.
so far. Yeah, this Mirati is going to tank really hard off this abusive, I'd imagine. I'm actually surprised to see that. If it was Mirati, wouldn't you want to keep your dude? I feel like if you wanted to play around Mirror Entity, you would abusive your guy, so your 3/5 can then attack into the abusive sergeant, and you'd keep an extra 1/1 on the board.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That probably was better.
Maybe not, considering Abomination is coming down, but I mean that would be pretty amazing to predict.
Yeah, I mean, so far from Kaldi's perspective, he has no idea what type of mage this is. Now we see it, and is it a Death Rattle mage? No, we've already
No,
seen Death Rattle Hunter, so it must be a Taunt mage. That's weird.
that's true. The keywords that the decks have to be built around are exclusive. You cannot have like 3 Death Rattle decks. Actually, I think if that was the case, you might actually see 3 Death Rattle decks from most of the players.
Yeah, that would be pretty strong. Or if you could run the same class, you could. So you have to do both 3 different classes and 3 different keywords. It
Hmm.
might have been interesting to pull off. Like you could do Death Rattle Paladin, Battlecry Paladin, and hey, even Divine Shield Paladin while you're at it. Triple Paladin.
I think I like the Death Lord here over the Abomination #2. You're just really low on health. Like really, really low on health.
Wow, he lost health like way faster than I expected when a Taunt mage.
Yeah. Well, he got a bit crushed in the opener. His mirror entity got totally owned. He went second, so he's at the tempo disadvantage, and that usually results in you losing some health until you can stabilize. But
Right, it
me,
also occurs to me that those mirror entities can't even be gotten with mad scientists, so that's a strangely weak card I'm going to say to put in your deck because we
mhm.
play a lot of arena, and even in arena, mirror entity isn't that great. Usually, the big draw is to get it out with mad scientist, but because this is a taunt deck, you cannot put in mad scientist.
Yeah. All right. Well, if Kaldi has a silence and he draws it, he's going to win the game right here and now. Nope.
All right, well, here comes a series of flame strikes, but that's not going to be enough to burn off the Doctor Boom.
No. There might be like a draw here that pulls him out, though. Um, Perhaps like a Frostbolt, so he can Frostbolt A-bomb, maybe? Hmm. I don't
All
even
right,
know what this
let's see
can
what's in the phone.
produce. I don't know.
So we're looking for something that is 8 or less.
That's not
That's
not
not
that
going to do
one.
it.
No. All right. Well, man, these games are very very swingy. It seems like these decks are just having a few consistency issues, and when one deck kind of struggles, the other deck just absolutely dominates. So yeah, very very dominating games for sure.
Yeah, I would say at this point, whoever has the more consistent decks, which are just good, are going to just win. So I think to that point, Zillet has a very, very good chance from yesterday
Hmm.
because his three decks all seemed very solid. We were like, okay, in Conquest, there's one deck that might be weak. In this case, I would say it's Hoge's Mage for sure because I don't, I still can't really tell what that deck was meant to do, and it is running a few weak cards such as Mirror Entity.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't even think it's that it seems like a pretty weak deck. I mean, yeah, it seems like a pretty weak deck, but when you compare it to like the Taunt Druid, it just seems like it doesn't really offer any advantage.
All right, but we do have Hoge bringing back his the most popular deck, it appears, and Kaldi is running the more traditional Taunt Druid. Looks like Kaldi is another person then who went with what I thought would be the most standard lineup of Taunt, Death Rattle, and Battle Cry in those three
Whoa,
classes.
the ramp is real. How about that?
Wow, man, just to also play a 2-drop while he's at it.
Yep, when you play Nourish to gain the mana crystals, it's not like Wild Growth. You get the 2 mana crystals right away.
Yep, Kaldi is kind of going to be playing from an Astral Communion style right now since his hand has basically only 2 cards left in it.
I think that's okay though. The Wrath can redraw. I mean, Wrathing for one is just kind of going to work against the Death Rattle Hunter. There's always going to be that garbage that you can get rid of. I think here Hoge just has 2 Animal Companion. I mean, all 3 Animal Companions are great, so I don't really know why he's hesitating. Are they not?
Getting the hover is a little bit of a bummer. You have to send it into the 2/3.
Yeah.
And then he has to make a tough choice on whether or not to get the secret. Doesn't look like that would be too good if it were freezing.
Yeah. Oh, it's not freezing.
Okay.
Wow, look at that. That worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that probably means that Hoge isn't running freezing if he sent that in with that much confidence. Because
Hmm.
otherwise he risks freezing a 2/1.
All right. Well, I think with this line of play, your idea was, oh, really? Okay. So what do you do here? Do you play around swipe by sending in the leopard gnome? Hmm.
I don't think so because the 3/5 and the 1+4 looks like it would work well, and then you would not have that much to swipe.
That innervate draw is really nice. It allows you to finish off the 4/4 if you want. Looks like he doesn't go for it though.
Yeah, better to get out on this Dormu. That's basically like +7 mana almost.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, looks like Hoge is just going to try to get the most value out of trading as he possibly can.
Yep. You had the possibility of going Creeper into Feign Death to create a lot of spiders. That would probably be a bit too many, especially against Swipe. Well, Starfall would have been really bad against that as well.
I think Starfall is just a play here instead of Nozdormu, actually. You can do a Wrath for one and then attack into the Belcher and then Starfall.
Yeah, I like that. That's a surprise. You Wrath the Misha. Wrathing the Sledge Vulture would have allowed for a clear.
I guess he's just not planning on Starfalling his turn then. He's committed to that right away.
That was kind of dangerous because you didn't actually know. You would be committed to playing whatever you drew.
Yeah, but that's a pretty wide range, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's 7 or less. It might not even be a risk. There might just not be any cards with 7 or more mana in the deck, to be
that's
fair.
true.
All
Okay,
right.
we got a potential for some real Feign Death value. An Ooze, a Secret, and 2/1/1s.
Oh, nope. No, we
Not good
want to
enough?
extend that a little bit. Have we seen like super big death rattle creatures from Hoej besides the high main though? I wonder.
I know one side had the
The piloted Skygul, that was on Kaldi's
yeah.
side, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious what he's waiting for with the Feign Death. The most powerful combos of Feign Death are obviously Sylvanas and Sneeds, but like I don't know if those are in the deck with two explosive traps.
Well, and death is now a dead card.
Wow, and there was no other trap trigger. Was
Wait,
there?
there's a secret out there. Was there one out there before?
I don't I don't I don't think the snake trap actually triggered. The sludge belcher is undamaged, right? So that would mean that he's running
Oh,
either two
right.
secrets or two snake traps.
Yeah, makes sense. So two snake and a yeah.
Okay.
All right. Got to go fast from here on out.
Oh man. Feign Death value is dwindling. Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty
well,
good though.
yep. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Did he make it? You need some
Tough with
pretty
the sludge
quick
belcher.
actions here.
Oh, okay.
Nope. 4 damage
Wonder if
gone.
that Kaldi
Now
was a little
Storm
less
would
time.
produce in value. And another Belcher to slow things down.
You can see
Hilarious.
Kaldi's like panic as he fumbles for those cards. They move a little bit. Gets it off. Gets the attack off. Good enough. Oh, that's a good one.
No way. No way. It's not happening. Oh, no, Storm was going to crush
Oh my
him.
god.
Nope. Oh, and here comes a swipe. Let's swipe it. Ah, Fen Creeper.
Oh, Fen Creeper. That seems like a weak card to put in your deck.
It's pretty bad. I always go back to Arena when people ask about Fen Creeper. I think Fen Creeper is better than Sludge Belcher like 1 out of 4 times in Arena. Just because it doesn't get pinged. It needs 5 damage and like a ping.
I've heard some legend that if you have like more Nosdurmus, it goes faster. Nah, it looks like it's still
Yeah.
the same time.
It just fills up the screen with more dust. Maybe it
Right.
makes it seem like things are going faster. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I think I saw Kaldi win through the dust there.
Hoej gets totally wrecked by Dustorm. Well, I'm glad to finally see this happen. I knew there was a reason Nosdorma was in every single deck in every GEICO Brawl so far. Now we know why, guys, because sometimes that timing makes a pretty big difference. All right, guys. So Kaldi does pull through from the opening matches. He will face off against either Amaz or Strifecrow, which will be our next match. It will be our final game out of the first round. So we would have explored all the creations of the players with these crazy GEICO Brawl rules. That will be coming up in just a few minutes. We will be taking a break, get the players set up. Again, because it is a live event, sometimes it might take a little bit longer than other times. So on the break, if you guys want to check out, if you guys want to enter the raffle, you guys can go to geico.onog.gg and perhaps win your very own TSM PC. So I want you guys to check that out in the break, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.